we're saving them here. The cloud. 1 second. It's almost.
Sure. That's my girl, Barika.
You brought everybody in. You got a following here. You said, y'all come to this is the first National Black AI Literacy Week, not a day. I've said this before, y'all. This is a week because my mentor, Patty Williams here, SCORE mentor, when I brought up the idea of doing a national day, she said, I just don't think that's enough time. And she couldn't have been righter, more right with that, because this week, the amount of information, if you've been here, you already know it's next level stuff that we're getting to enjoy. So, Patty, thank you. And I'll let you go ahead and start.
Okay. I would just like to thank all of you for coming. You've been following us for the last 4 days now, I guess. And we have a great presentation that we're getting ready to hear. Marie, we just listened to Stefan's mother, and she's got us feeling all warm and fuzzy because she gave us some great advice. So we are really off to a great start today. And not to delay, we're ready to hear what you have to say today. Thank you.
And really quick, folks, put in the chat where you're at. We're doing this kind of thing. It's more than national, we're trying to show where people are. So just put in the chat if you feel secured on that, where
And
you're.
your contact information because we're networking and we're trying to build our group. Thank
Thank you.
you.
And Marie, it's great to have you. It is all you. I like your background, by the way.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
that's
Thank
not.
you. I'll give you the background on the background. Oh, I see Corrales is here. I got my peoples here.
You got a lot of
So
people. You got a lot of people. So go. It's all you.
Hi, John.
before we start, I just want everyone, and this is not a woosah, but I want everybody to just take a deep breath and let it out. I mean, it's a lot of information this week. It's so great. And we are energized and learning so much, but also want to make sure, you take some time and realize that this is an opportunity for all of us. You're not too late. Stefan just spoke with his mom who's 90 and she was just there with him on this AI stuff. So I want everyone to, give yourself a pat on the back for coming and attending, but also to just know that it'll all work out. Whatever you're supposed to use AI for, you'll figure it out. Don't get overwhelmed by I need to figure out how I'm going to put it in my business, my work. It's going to be okay. And so today we're going to talk about the future of work, but it's going to be a little different. This is not just to show here are the stats and here's where the threats are, here where the opportunities are, but really it's going to be engaging and interactive because I want for us to leave a working document, right? Something that we can continue to work on. And but I also want to leave you with resources if you are feeling like, you know, I'm worried about my job. I'm worried where this is going. So numbers don't lie, but at the same time, doesn't mean that it's the end all be all. So let's just put that in perspective. So I'm Marie Roker-Jones, CEO of Curious Culture LLC with Verika Edwards. So funny story, I'm a two-time founder at the intersection of social impact and tech. And Barika was my first co-founder, and now she has all these years has become my awesome friend, confidant, advisor. She is, if you're not following her, you have to follow her. She's amazing. So after I've given you that plug for Barika, and I'm gonna have her join me in a few minutes. I'm gonna share my screen. So give me 1 minute. Da 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 da. Everyone can see my screen, so I just want to make sure you can see it. Yes? Okay. I just want to make it bigger. Give me a minute. I always think I know what I'm doing, and then somehow I don't. I'll just make it full percent. Okay, we're good, right? So you can see it. So
Yes.
AI in the future of work, who will be left behind? This is less of a, oh my God, who's going to be left behind, and more of what can we do to ensure no one is left behind? Because it is, we know just historically, uh, marginalized communities, particularly Black and Brown communities, are left out of so much, especially when it comes to tech. And so we want to ensure that we have the knowledge, we have the information, but also that we're proactive, right? And this is what Stefan is doing with this week. He's bringing awareness, education, as well as advocacy. And that's what we want to do in our community. So my first question, in one word, what excites or scares you the most about AI and the impact on the future of work? So if you could just put one word, and what I'd like to do is create a word cloud out of that, but just one word that, and I'm going to check chat to see. Obsolete. Ooh, that's powerful. Misinformation, neuroscience, replacement, bias, possibility, potential harm. Okay, so we have, mix, ease, optimization, growth, transformation, human replacement, potential, creativity, evolution. So good, thank you. And you can see we all have a different perspective on AI, depending on how we are, where we are, right? How we use AI in our everyday, what we know, what we're reading, because a lot of people watch the news and they hear, oh my goodness. I did a session, not for this, and there was a young lady and she started crying because she worried about AI taking her job. And so there's a lot of mixed feelings around it. So today we're going to address some of those feelings. So our objective is, one, we're going to understand AI's impact on future of work. We're going to identify opportunities and threats. And three, we're going to create a collective action plan. So right now, 300 million jobs worldwide can be replaced due to AI advancements. That's Goldman Sachs via BBC. That seems like a huge number. But when you think about it, there are, and the data might have changed a little, but 1.6 billion people of working age worldwide, and 2.2 billion of people who are self-employed. So when you look at it in that context, that 300 no longer seems so huge. But if I were just to say 300 million jobs are going to be replaced, people get anxious. But then once you realize, when you put in the context of how many people are worldwide that are working age, it's not that big. Now, I don't know how many of you saw this recently, but 600,000 new millionaires were added in the US just last year, thanks to AI and the boost to the financial markets. So if any of you did, invest in NVIDIA or anything like that, kudos to you if you're one of those 600,000 millionaires. But what it also shows is that there's opportunity, because AI is contributing to economic growth. But how do we become part of that 600,000 new millionaires? And I don't mean it in the context of just investing, but how do we become part of the story of the economic growth? So I'm going to share a couple of stats. I always like to share stats. So 7.5 million data entry jobs are expected to be eliminated in 2027. Because, again, things that can be automated, AI does create, or I guess pose a threat, but it doesn't mean that all those jobs will be obsolete. It's really up to employers. It's up to people to figure out how to integrate AI into what they're doing. 80% of the task force, US task force, and I'm focusing on US for just these stats, could see at least 10% of the tasks affected by AI technologies. That's not a lot when you think about it. 10% of your task, especially if it makes the work that you do that is mundane, things that you don't even enjoy doing. I mean, I don't enjoy administrative work. So the fact that I can use AI for that, I love it. And it makes my life easier. So it's a way of looking at how do we work with AI, or look at it instead of looking at it as a threat or competition. 25% of CEOs predict that generative AI will result in workforce reduction of 5%. So that's 1 in 4 CEOs that are predicting that. Again, this is their prediction, and I put where all these stats are from. You can look at it, and I'm happy to give you a copy of this presentation. Just ask me, and I'm more than happy to share it. And then 40% of jobs globally are susceptible to the impact of AI technologies. Again, when you look at it in the context of global versus US, it's very different. And so for those of us who are here in the US, I don't know if everyone's here in the US, we have to think about what are the threats, what are the opportunities. And I want to give this balanced view because with anything new, whether it's technology, whatever it is, there's always a threat, there's always an opportunity. So it's important that our views are balanced. So I'm going to start with the threats. And I want to give a shout out to my son who redesigned my 13-year-old redesigned my whole presentation because he didn't like how I did it. So he made sure the threats were in red. Just wanted to put that out there. So the threats, privacy concerns, and this is a huge concern, right? This is not just in the workplace. We have to think about it just in general, like in China where they have the facial recognition. Do we want that? Do we want to be monitored excessively? Do we want to work for a company that's monitoring our every move? Income inequality. This is the biggest one because what it can do is with AI, it could shift the balance. It could shift the balance where employers are having more control. And so we have to think about how it is an advantage for the employer, but a disadvantage to the employee, because if the employer is in control, they can now, determine how do I want to use AI in my business. How many of you read about, I forget, I think it was a startup founder who fired all his employees because he was going to just use AI. Now, maybe he thought he was saving, maybe he thought he was being, more productive in the sense of having AI, but what it does is it takes away human connection. So if he has customers, if he has clients, who's going to interact with them? People still need human interaction. And then those people that lost a job, he now created unemployment for them. So really, it's how are employers going to work with AI? Bias in hiring. We already deal with this. We already deal with, especially in tech, all I ever heard is, oh, well, we can't find. Look at this room. Look on LinkedIn. There is no excuse for not having diversity in your workplace. None. But AI recruitment, the practices couldn't affect fair employee practices and DEI, because if there's a bias in the data set already, and who is creating the AI, what does that mean for the rest of us? So those are things to take into consideration. We have bias with names that sound ethnic or Black. We already have those things. And there's even situations where people have, maybe they've gotten an interview or someone scheduled a phone interview, and then they go to their LinkedIn and it doesn't move forward. So there's already a lot of bias. Do we want more? Job placement. really where we're going to see a big shift is in manual labor, like I mentioned, and routine tasks. So there's going to be a displacement, but what is the opportunity for those people because of that displacement? What can we think of, and how can we ensure that the displacement doesn't impact them, in the way that they can't find any other employment? And I'm sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. Career transition. So there's 11.8 workers are going to need to change occupations by 2030. That doesn't mean that, and again, we have to be careful and read and understand and dissect wording. Yes, it looks like, oh my goodness, 2030 is just 6 years away, 11.8. But that may mean that they're transitioning to a better job. They're transitioning a lateral transition. They may be going into a whole new industry. So take all of that into consideration. So now let's look at opportunities. Economic growth, as I mentioned, 600,000 new millionaires in the US alone. AI can also optimize supply chains. It can create jobs such as AI trainers, AI explainers, AI sustainers. And this is from, I think, the World Economic Forum that had an article about all these new positions. And let's think about it. 20 years ago, there were no influencers, content creators. So new positions, new jobs are, just coming up every day. So how do you take some of your skills that are transferable and get into the space? If you're already doing, maybe you're already a trainer in one area, maybe all you need to know is how to use AI, and you can become an AI trainer. I don't want to simplify it, but I want you to see that it's not, it's not the end, because there's a lot of space and a lot of place for us to really move forward. Professional development, personalized training programs, reskilling. The World Economic Forum, they have a goal to reskill 1 billion people by 2030. Okay, so, and remember I said there's 1.63 billion people of working age. So when we look at those numbers, we have to say there are opportunities. And yes, there are threats, but if we focus only on the threats, then we're going to miss the opportunities. And we have to say, yes, these things are happening. Yes, there's bias. Yes, AI is a threat. But how do I personally, and how do we collectively use that to our advantage and move forward? And the last is there's going to be a 23% increase in demand by 2030 for jobs. So now I invited two people that I respect and trust to come share their insights, because one of the things to know is we don't know everything. So we have to depend on our network to really share their insights. So I'm gonna bring up Marika, and I want her to share the outlook for the future of work from her perspective. Marika is getting, I don't want to misquote, PhD in AI ethics, I believe. So Marika, I want to turn it over to you.
Not yet, not to quote. I'm working towards that. That would be my goal towards hopefully next year. Right now I'm going to be going to the policy school at Harvard Kennedy School, and my interest has been in AI. And because when I closed our startup, one of the things I was looking at is the fact that automation is happening, it's going to happen. Not knowing how fast AI was going to be on the horizon by the time I finished my first degree, that we would be already here. So one thing I want to share that I think is really important, is to know that AI is a machine. It's not thinking, it's not reasoning yet. Um, we are training it to reason similarly to us, but it's not reasoning on its own. AI is mostly a human problem and human opportunity, meaning it's how we use it and how we decide to use it that's going to really make a difference in how AI will affect our future and how AI will impact all the areas that it will. So, to add to Marie's list of opportunities and jobs, and I think a job where we have more people in law, more people in ethics, more people in business systems and operations, it's really important because we want to make sure that we have very smart, very capable, very empathetic, very observant people who are able to call out when the AI is dysfunctioning. So, or that the AI is missing data sets, because the fact that it's not like you can pull data sets out. There's so much data in MLL. It would take more than the length of this planet for every person on the planet to be able to pull out and parse out data from an MLL. So we need to be thinking about it also from a more higher level as well. Another thing of interest that I think we should be cognizant of is our friends and family that are not here in the United States. Specifically our friends and family and brown folks in the global South, as well as in other parts of the world. For example, with the takeoff of Web 2, lots of people have been able to move out of poverty. Especially, I'm thinking about people in India and Bangladesh who were highly skilled, highly trained, educated folks, but they were still, they weren't able to move the dial to move out of poverty until we started to offshore a lot of coding. And a lot of that coding now is being replaced by AI too. So there is a significant challenge that is on the frontier where communities and countries who were able to move out of areas of poverty have a huge threat of sinking back into areas of poverty. When I think about how many times have you called some company, and they routed you to a customer service person, most likely in the Philippines. That's another area where a lot of people were able to move out of poverty, but now are under threat too. So when we think about AI, we want to think about it globally as well. One thing that I have been keeping my eyesights on when it comes to AI and how the future work will happen and how privacy interacts with us as people is policy side. And what is happening in Europe is probably going to be our best bet of what's going to happen here, because the companies want to be able to operate in Europe, and Europe has much more robust security and privacy laws than we do here in the United States. So it would be wonderful if we were to be able to move out of a political system of where the companies are paying our politicians to keep them safe and keep them and equitably profitable. However, in Europe, the European Union is able to do that because they're not as capital AS influenced by money.
Thank you, Barika. See, this is why I say it's community effort, because we we all have different insights, and I know Barika always looks at things globally, and she's my go-to for information and research. So thank you. And I want to bring up Rodney Robertson, because Rodney is another person that I really go to when it comes to influencer content creation, what's happening. And not only is Rodney knowledgeable, but he's also well versed in the Web3 AI space. So I wanted to get his perspective on um, how is it going to affect content creators, influencers. I just saw something I was watching with my son where an AI influencer, I think, hacked another AI influencer. So it was just, and we're just like watching this, like, these are
That's
not real
amazing.
people. Exactly. So how is that gonna, when they ask younger people, so when we look at not necessarily just Gen Z, but Gen Alpha, which is the next generation, a lot of them, that's what they want to do. They want to become influencers. They want to create content. And yes, there's a lot of opportunity in content creation, but we also have to, again, be balanced, right, with our view of things. So, Rodney, if you're ready, I want to turn it over to you. I saw you
Hey
here.
guys, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. How's everybody doing? So my name is Rodney. Thank you for the introduction, Marie. I am a artist manager, well, talent manager specifically. I manage from artists, to other influencers, producers, all the yards. I'm a producer as well, executive producer, and I also create metaverses. Being in the entertainment, industry, and then also just working with metaverses, to be honest, like I really needed a personal assistant over time. And then obviously to have a personal assistant, it costs. And then also getting the whole interns and internships, sometimes it's not reliable. So once AI came in, I utilized that to like just like little things, little tasks, just making sure that I was on point with everything from meetings. Just I had all my ideas scattered around on pieces of paper or everything, and I'll just ask AI to organize it for me. Then we started utilizing it for now influencers and artists. So a specific artist that I manage, he is arrested right now. Um, can't get too specific on the terms, but he got arrested, and he's going to go on a court date. But long story short, he is very well known. He is a signed artist. He is in he has a bunch of views on music videos and streamings and platforms, has a feature with Cardi B and everything like that. And long story short, because he is locked up right now, obviously during the time when he was outside, his mom stopped working, family was getting paid from everything and stuff like that. And obviously being arrested, time goes on and now money starts slowing up, the royalties and everything is still there. Can't really rely on the label. So we're utilizing AI to actually incorporate lyrics into the song since he's not there in front of the microphone. We're utilizing his voice to then do so. Obviously, when it comes to like AI overall, it's like there's always a negative and a positive. That's just anything in Web 2, Web 3, Web everything in general. So the positive note with AI and music is specifically where we could utilize AI to then help people that are arrested or people that have been through injury. Like if say Kanye West, when he had to through the wire, and he couldn't rap, he could have used AI for those instances. So like just examples like that, it was a good thing. And then just like future sense, it's also scary to think about it to now they're also using AI music artists to where they are taking, say, like the lyrics and just like the personality of say Eminem and combine it with another artist and then try to make their own artist from there. Or you see a music artist to where I went to a convention the other day, or like a couple months back, and they had it was production, AI production, to where like the beats were you just say what you want type of beat that you want. So I could say I want a dark hip hop beat, and boom, it automatically created for me. And then I could be more specific on the terms on what I wanted to sound like and everything like that, and it will start creating it. That's also eliminating producers, but at the same time, you could utilize that for producers, like if you know how to utilize it, to spark your ideas, because you start hearing the difference between someone that's actual like actually play the keys and everything like that. So then the AI, you could hear the difference in there. So when it comes to like music and AI, there's always just a balance on like good and bad things. It's inevitable to pretty much just work with it. And I see that with AI, with everything, also with influencers, just like how Marie was speaking about how you have influencers right now that are AI, literally just AI influencers. So I could be Macy's and I could create a whole AI influencer and have the AI influencer go crazy. The thing is, there has to be some sort of idea and some sort of emotion and passion behind it to where now that's where the influencer will come in, or say like a creator or whoever it is. And then the positive note for an influencer to use AI, I would say, would be more just like having that personal assistant, having the schedule timing for their editing videos and everything like that. Most of these influencers don't know how to edit their video. So it's going to take a long time to do so. But now, because of AI, they can edit their video in 5 minutes, get knocked out like 10 videos at one time. So it's just a balance right now of like, what are you willing to be friends with AI pretty much and work with it, because it's going to be an inevitable in our future when it comes to the entertainment industry, influencers, music, and everything. So it's always got positive and negative.
And Rodney, Rodney and I went to the Small Business Expo, and we met a business in which the man created AI board members. So if you have a startup, you don't have any board members, you had all these AI board members that were trained in specific areas. So you had a board member that, was experienced in marketing. You had one that is experienced in strategy. So, and his reasoning was, if you're going for investment, you can now say you have advisors. And eventually, because I was asking questions, he said eventually they will have it where you can have real people and the AI. But it's, you know, and that's the thing, is that people are coming up with ideas. Some of them are good, some of them are just, it just points to a problem. And I think that's how we have to look at it. A lot of times when we see AI, I guess, platforms or SaaS being built in a particular area, it points to a bigger problem. There's an AI for that. And I was looking at what the trending, there were so many AI girlfriends. So many platforms are creating AI girlfriends. And at first I was like, this is strange. But then I realized it points to a bigger problem, which is loneliness. And the fact that people are now replacing human connection, human interaction with AI goes to show that we're not addressing, like we're putting a band-aid over the problem, right? And we're not digging into, well, the real problem is loneliness. The real problem is how the pandemic has affected how people engage with each other. And now when you have somebody who has an AI girlfriend, what does that mean later on when that person tries to engage with a real girlfriend? So things for us, to think about.
There's a funny
And
story that I listen to a lot of AI news briefs. They're like quick daily news briefs. And one week they challenged their listeners to share how they use AI in their workplace. And I thought some of it was really brilliant. One person created their boss in AI. So if you're paying for ChatGPT 4.0 or anything, you can like start to train it on specific ways. So she trained one of her GPTs to be able to become her boss. So she would, put through her boss's responses, and then she was able to like ask the virtual boss what to do before she went to her real boss, and because she didn't want to bother another person. They took all the data. You know how sometimes teams will do these psychoanalyst tests. So and I've done this one too, where they take all the psychoanalyst tests of their team and they put it into a GPT. And so then they would like test, like, what if I ask this person this and I bring it to them this topic this way to them, how will these different people react? They didn't use Myers-Briggs, they used a different one of those psychoanalysts, but they were able to build like their team to kind of find out who's going to respond in which way. Teachers have been using it to like shorten their time frame of grading tests and grading papers, which can take a lot of work, and a lot of that's unpaid, but using AI to speed up that process, so they're not working unpaid hours. So I'm all for that.
I know. Rodney, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna add on to what you were saying too about like just that like in the future, like not right now, but in near future, we start missing these elements in which is creativity. We're gonna start losing out on creativity like our kids and stuff like that because we're gonna get into a point where we're like it's not laziness, but it's just like it's just super accessible. Because I'm at that point right now to where it's like I'm barely answering emails sometimes because I'll have AI answer the email for me. Sometimes like I don't even want to type up something, a full document. I'm like, I'll just throw it on Chat GPT and then throw it on there. But it's like these habits is what keeps our mind going and keeps us creative. So it's like finding that balance. Like I just wanted to add that on just with that.
No, thank you. And one of the things, so I want to share, I'm going to share some resources on when it comes to, and I added this last minute because I was like, you know what, let's share some resources before we go into like creative mode. So it's important that we don't just rely on AI, right? Like we still need to be creative thinkers. We still need to be critical thinkers. But there is opportunity because of those. I think there's a Chat GPT store where you can create stuff and sell it on the store. So if you have an idea, like I think that's what's important is, again, what's being built is focusing on the problem, but the solutions are not focused on like, I guess it's just a surface layer, right? It's not really what is really happening. So there are opportunities. So some of the things I'll share, my last startup, we did hackathons. If you're looking to get more involved and how do I, get a job? How do I learn AI? I feel there's so much. First, take a breath and think about why and what you want to do. Because a lot of times you know, Web3, I remember 2 or 3 years ago, NFT NYC was huge. Last year, very few people because we all run in one direction and then sometimes we all run in another direction. So always ask yourself why. The reason we called our company Curious Culture is because you need to stay curious. Stay curious. That's it. Why do I just keep asking yourself? Well, why do I want to learn AI? What do I want to do with AI? Why, how am I going to use it? And when then you can go on a course of this is what I'm going to do. But don't just do it because you don't want to be left behind. Do it because you have a purpose, have a plan, and you'll see, it'll take you further. So one thing I'll say, participate in AI hackathons. You can find them online. Look for them. Just do a Google search. I know, I think it's Hacker Earth, there's a couple of them where you can find hackathons. And a lot of times they're looking for non-technical people because non-technical people are the missing piece. I think Corrales is still here and he's really talks about human marketing. And we talked about that. Apply for AI scholarships. People don't know. Coursera, edX, actually, they're losing money. So they have scholarships. You just ask. You can get a certification by just asking for a scholarship. You just have to, they don't put it out there. You have to do a little bit of digging. Coursera, the same way. Volunteer at AI conferences, summits. Contribute to open source AI projects on GitHub. Look for those things. Participate in AI research initiatives. I mean, right here, Stefan's giving all of us an opportunity. Bring it up. Say, hey, does anybody want to join me in doing this? The idea is, how do we move forward? Volunteer with AI initiatives like AI 2030. Find the way, be proactive. And like I said, have a purpose. Be curious about what you want to do. Dr. Joy, I see your hand up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for your fabulous presentation and as well as the fabulous presentation of your teammates. My question is related to the hackathons. I am probably the least technical person on this line, but I am willing to learn and grow. And I'm just trying to understand a hackathon, how would a person like me benefit or contribute to a hackathon? I don't quite understand it, please.
So Dr. Joy, what are your power skills? What do you do well? Where's your expertise lie in?
My expertise. Well, I am a full tenured professor at St. Louis University. I teach research classes. I teach social justice classes to people working on their PhDs. So I would say that my main strengths include face-to-face interaction, uh, definitely uplifting others. You know, a lot of people say, hey, when I interact with you, Dr. Joy, I feel like I can move mountains after 15 minutes of talking to you. So I think that interpersonally, I'm very strong in that regard. I'm similar to you. I don't like busy work. I don't like filling in forms and things like that. I prefer communicating with people one-on-one in person and helping them be the best human beings they can be. That's my strength.
Oh, love it. Okay, I'll give you some perspectives, but hey, anybody can jump in. So for someone like you have two options. You can be the person that says, hey, I have an idea for an AI, app or something that really digs into human connection, interperson, but I'm not technical. So you find a team and find people who are technical. So usually in hackathons, it's a bunch of people that either come together and you find a team or you bring your own team and you can ask them to build it. On the other hand, you can find a technical team and say, look, here's where my skills are, or whatever you're building. Are you really thinking about it from the perspective of, again, as Barika said, it's a machine. So are you thinking about how this AI will engage with people who are neurodiverse? Are you thinking about how this will engage with people from different cultures? So things like that, you can bring a new perspective and help them with the human design of it. So I know a lot of times hackathons for non-technical people are kind of like, that's not my thing. You're actually the missing piece in most of these things because technical people are just thinking about, I want to build this, I want it to work, right? But they're not thinking of the other things like strategy. They're not thinking about who are you designing this for, and things like that. Barika, I see you unmuted, so I know you wanted to share.
I did. I think Dr. Joy is an awesome opportunity
Yes.
for university, especially with working with other colleagues and students around social justice, especially as AI is being used and deployed. Somebody mentioned about the psycho politics of using AI as a disinformation tool or utilizing it as a tool to help people get the vote out, help people, be able to launch activism in new ways. So I think there's tremendous opportunity, especially in the social justice space.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
And
Thank you both. Amazing. Thank you for the excellent advice. Thank you, both of you.
Marie, could I add something?
Oh, Corrales, of course, this
Yeah,
is what I was speaking
this is
about.
this is awesome. Because I think I just wanted to add on to that. Because I think it's like these resources are great that Marie put out about, where to go, but obviously, you've got to customize it according to what, your specialty is and what you bring to the table. I think the thing that I've learned the most and in consulting with a lot of companies these days in emerging tech like Web3 and AI is that if you are on the ethical side, the diversity side, the equity side, your chances are very low for making money in this. So you really have to, because I put a comment up at the top, because you have to realize in a gold rush, no one really cares about the diversity. That's why we don't see big diversity initiatives from OpenAI and Google, because their data sets that they're collecting right now are they're trying everyone is trying to get ahead. They're not worried that diversity is actually going to slow them down. So that's why you're not going to see a lot of efforts for diversity. But what I would recommend, and what I've seen successfully done, is that when you position diversity according to your customers' understanding of it. So if you're working with a big company, that you have to understand their desires to acquire AI are, yes, they may want to have ethical things, but that's not their driver. That their driver is going to be that they want to get ahead in their sales. So you kind of have to speak to that kind of, maybe you could call it their selfish desire. And then once you've satisfied that kind of itch that they have, that's driving them, and that's going to be your moneymaker, then you can move them on the back end into your more kind of ethical take on things. Because that way, what you're doing is you're gaining trust with them on the front end, and you're making money yourself, obviously. So you're able to continue, and then you're with that trust, then they're going to be much more willing to listen to you. That, okay, I want to do some more radical things with what we're doing here. And that combination I think is missing in a lot of the sort of diversity equity kind of approach to AI right now. Because the truth is, like, if you look at crypto, AI, it's the same thing. No one is paying attention to the diverse voices. I mean, I've learned that in, brand new voices, my thing. And, Maria and I have gone we're always, everyone in diversity and equity is always fighting that battle. And it's a losing battle if you don't understand, I think, the kind of, process that you have to go through. So that's just what I wanted to add.
No, thank you, Corrales. And um, Corrales is responsible for helping me learn so much about Web3 and blockchain and even in this AI space, and really through the lens of social impact, in the sense of, like, it is a battle. It is a battle, and we all know that. Devana, am I saying it correctly? Because I want to make sure.
Yes, Devana.
Devana, hey. So
Hey,
yeah, you had your head up.
you guys so much for this, Marie, Bakira, and Rodney, specifically. Rodney, you mentioned briefly about building metaverses, and I'm very curious about that and the process. I don't know if we have enough time to discuss it, but I'm in the fashion and marketing industry, and I'm very curious about metaverses and how I can build it and do something within that space. So, do you have any insights on how I can get started?
Yeah, definitely. So there's like different platforms. Quickly, so it just like depends on what you want to do specifically. So you have your phone, you could have metaverses on your phone, you could have metaverses on your computer, and then there's metaverses on your VR. So like on the actual Oculus. I do metaverses specifically on VR, and then I also interact with the ones on computer. I dabble in the phone one, but not all the time. I feel like I'll be too much on my phone if that's the case. But yeah, you said this year, you're creating like clothes. You have a clothing line and anything like that?
Specifically, accessories, women's accessories.
Okay, yeah. So like you could, so if you get like an Oculus, you could literally create your own world, and how you would do it is like literally from shapes. So it's like you don't even have to understand code or anything like that. It's literally just taking a circle, mix it with a square, and then literally combining these shapes and everything like that to then make the world that's around you. Now specifically on spatial, which is on your phone and also on your laptop, you would have to incorporate coding and everything like that. So you will have to reach out to a team. But in my sense, like it's always like you could try to figure some sort of like say like there's a tech team that's looking for other people to partner up with and make a whole store on, say, accessories and everything like that. They just don't know the accessory person or needs a creative person. You're the creative person, you give the ideas, they're the tech guys, they just put it all on there. So it's just more on just partnering if you, for me, don't want to do the creation.
Yeah, and we have our LinkedIn, and so please feel free to reach out to us on if you have more questions. I just saw that Stefan posted blackmetaverse.io, 6 minutes. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, because I want to get to our mind map, but most importantly, this mind map right here in Stefan's, who's that?
Rika.
Oh, sorry.
On to Ronnie was saying how accessible things are. Within the next year or two, everybody's going to be able to make their own AI off of their phone. That's where we're heading to. It's not like 5 years in the future. It's like literally a few days. And especially with NVIDIA cards, they're really accessible, really inexpensive. We're going to be able to decentralize a little bit more than what we've been able to do in the past when it comes to like social media. So I would think to add to this list, if you have young people in your family who are in school right now, make sure that they learn stats, go through calculus, learn those hard math classes, because that's what's building AI, so they can do Python and everything, so they can do some of the more intense AI work, but we'll be able to be building our own AI from our phone within the next year or two.
Yeah, and just also from what you were saying, sorry, they want to just also just jump in the metaverse. Like, to be honest, just go in there, just experience it, talk to people. It's literally like what we're doing right now. Literally just a bunch of people all together, just randomly interact. And yeah, you have like your rooms and places where there's gonna be kids and stuff like that. You might find your ignorant person, or you feel me, your person that's a jerk or whatever. But just like for me, it's just like the earth. You feel me? You're going to have your bad rotten apples, but all together that it's a lot of positivity and good people around you. So definitely just jump into the metaverse, check it out from Decentraland. If you want to throw in an Oculus, go into Horizon Worlds. Like I said, there's like plenty of metaverses on the phone as well, spatial and everything. So just jump in and just interact.
Roblox. Roblox is the metaverse for kids. Kids
Roblox too.
Roblox. They are making money. They are creating outfits. They are doing stuff. My son, Roblox is the metaverse, like literally. So Stefan wanted to show us a clip.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, give me a share screen if you wouldn't mind right now.
Oh, sure. Let me give it back to you, and then I'll.
It's 5 seconds. Watch this. Gonna hit. You want to continue sharing? Here it is. We did a lot in the metaverse. We were using AltSpace back then, and NBC News saw what we were doing, wanted to come and see. We basically had every week an international global worship service, and this is kind of what it looked like.
The metaverse, the next frontier of the internet. From virtual weddings to church service.
That's us.
Focus your
I know everybody there. Me right there. That's it. It was just, that's what some of the metaverse and connection looked like. We were all in an Oculus, although we showed it, on YouTube too. But man, it brought people from all over the world together. Just wanted to show a clip.
That needs to be your next thing, because, and I know some gentleman, Black-owned metaverse, where he actually is working with the prison system to help those who've been incarcerated for years, like decades, learn through the metaverse how to how to assimilate into the real world. So they learn how to use an ATM. They learn how to do different things so that when they come out, they're ready. And his metaverse is amazing. Like, he literally uses your image and it looks like you. So there's so much happening. But what I want to emphasize is, and thank you, Barika, for the How Might We framework. So it's a human design framework. It's an action for a target group, and what is that desired result? Stefan has given us the community. We have it here. Whether if you want to do a hackathon, it's really, who's here who wants to put together a hackathon? If you want to create, if we want to build solutions, the people are here. We're all here. So all we need is the technical and the non-technical people. We don't have to overthink it. We can actually start to build solutions with who we have already here. And Stefan has given us the foundation. And I'm sure if you come to him with an idea and you're ready to help implement it, because we can't just come to him with ideas and say, yo, take this over, but you're ready to put in the work and you find other people, we can. So Barika was really helpful in talking this through. And so here's the link. If you'd like to, I'll put it in chat for you to, it's a mind map. And we can all, let me put it on, hold on. Let me put it in chat first. We can all, I'll stop sharing unless people need it, but I'll put it in chat so that we can all just contribute to this and start putting ideas together. And the goal is, how might we? How do we take everything we've talked about today? And how do we create, yes, AJ, I'll give you the copy. And how do we start to think around it? How do we start to really go from thinking, worrying, some of the words, we talked about earlier, to really saying, all right, here's what we can do. And again, we have to start being just very receptive to starting small, because great things happen in just small spaces. So we have the people here. There are other sessions all, today, tomorrow, Friday. Find the people. They're here. And how do we start thinking around this future of work, healthcare, legal, all of it? It's going to affect us. But what do? I don't want to go over time. So Stefan, I just want to be mindful and respectful of time, but I do want to answer any questions, provide resources. Barika, Rodney, Corrales, you all have been more than, you've been my support help network, and I go to you for things, and I thank you for joining me today. But these are people you can reach out to. These are people who, there's so many people here. So don't be afraid of asking, and don't think you have to know everything. You don't. Ask why, be curious. Right, I'm gonna keep repeating myself. So I'm gonna stop.
Thank you so much. This is highly important, and you made it accessible, and you brought information, a lot of answers. So a lot of stuff was captured here. Just know this is why we recorded it. It's going to be available to you, and Marie will get it to you within 24 hours. Patty is doing that. Yo, this is amazing. It's how do you even get people like this in a place to learn like this? So thank you all for being here. We have a session that is about to start. Very good. Natalie, if you're in here, you can just tell folks what it's about. Well, she's probably waiting for me to start the room. All right. If you don't mind.
Well done, Marie. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Barika.
you.
Hi, my
Everyone.
session
This
is,
awesome.
I think I'm not until 3 o'clock though, so there's a little bit of time, right? But
Natalie, I think yours starts at what time?
3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the intersection of bias in AI and racial trauma. So we'll be talking a lot about that and exploring how bias in artificial intelligence systems can perpetuate racial trauma. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you all and seeing you at 3 o'clock.
And I'll give Stefan a copy of the presentation so that you can send it to
That's
people.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And
Marie, you got to hook up. I mean, and thank you for being involved. By the way, y'all just need to know she was involved with Black AI Think Tank for a while now. We meet every other Thursday. We're going to start every Thursday. So this Thursday, we have rooms in here. Then you'll see Black AI Think Tank, and it's going to be this. And some amazing people in there. So thank you for being here. I better end this one so we can start the next one. Can y'all just say thank you to her?
thank you, everybody. All right. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
You
Great.
get very
Thank
high
you.
marks.
Marie.
Great, great,
Thank
great.
you.
You're gonna get all high marks for this room. Thank you. All right, here.
Definitely.
This room needs to close in 5, 4,